We did it. Okay.
We did
So
it.
we'll just assume that it's working on Facebook Live. And if it's not, then that's all good.
I'm on
But
there. I see us.
oh, okay. That's all
Yeah.
right. Cool. All right. Technological difficulties resumed. Hi, Adriana. Let's do this
Hi,
again.
Alyssa. We didn't get that
Welcome.
far.
No, we didn't get that far. So I'll take a second to introduce Adriana. She was in my 6-week course, Sweat Plates Work, and that ended just a couple of weeks ago. And we've actually known each other for a long time. We've known each other since college, and we danced together in college, which is super special. And getting to um, join forces again and dance more has been really awesome. So welcome, Adriana. And do you want to share a little bit about yourself and what you do in the world?
Sure.
Yeah.
It has been a sweet reunion for me. I've since I don't know, maybe 7 years or more that we coincided in college and danced together. I feel like we've been in each other's orbits to a certain degree, and it's always sweet to like have that shooting star like actually like meet again.
Yeah.
I'm Adriana. I live in Kingston, New York, which is Lenape territory of the Esopus people. And I'm from Venezuela. I grew up in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I do language justice work in the world. And harm reduction work in the world. And I make some music and I bust out some moves, and I'm a reggaetonera and a merenguera at heart. And a grower of plants and visitor of mountains and rivers and streams. So that's a little bit about who I am.
I love that introduction. I think so often we focus on what we do when we talk about who we am, but I love that who we are. But I love that you gave a full approach to who you are and what you're about in the world. Thank you. So I wanted to talk about your why. So when we began this program and when we were kind of introducing it, it was the beginning of the pandemic, or maybe a little bit further in from the beginning, but we were doing virtual dance parties. And so I'm wondering, at that point, what were you hoping that, what did you want to achieve, or what problem were you facing that you wanted this course to kind of be a part of answering?
Yeah. I think, this relates a little bit to the introduction, just in the sense that it's a recent history for me that I am able to like identify as a dancer or a musician, even though they have never been my professional pursuits. And it's been like a long arc of feeling either regretful or just like a sense of longing of not having dance more centered in my life. And I do miss it a lot of the time. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We got like frozen for a sec, but here we are. And yeah, so I say that just to say, like, the way that I came into the space that you lead for dancing, it's coming from a place of having danced a lot, which is not to say at all that I feel like what you are bringing in the container you create is for all sorts of experiences and movement. And me particularly, I have danced for many years and have had dance in my life for many years. And I do identify as a dancer. I've never pursued it professionally, but so I think in general, like without even the COVID pandemic, I have been missing dance in my life, and I've been missing a practice. Like since the last time being college, the last time I really had a very consistent engagement with my dancing self. And since then, there's been like different ups and downs of classes or improv movement and contact and stuff. And but yeah, so I think in general, even before the pandemic, I was really thirsty for more movement, for new movement, and for learning technologies that like I could utilize on my own and like my own practice, like just existing in my body and in my house. And when you started offering your dance parties, I was missing like sweaty ass dance parties full of people, like seeing movement and the intoxication of other people's movement, and the, all that fun stuff that maybe one day we'll have again. And so that's like what led me to start going to the spaces you were creating. And then I realized that I was called for the first time to what you bring in terms of sensual movement, which I've never been super called to before. And I don't know if it was quarantine, I don't know like what exactly it was, but it was like the moment that I was like ready to listen and to try it on and to like find what that means for me.
Awesome. I love that you followed that intuition and just kind of clicked in at the right moment, at the right time. Yeah. So the next question I had is like, what impact were you hoping that exploring maybe sensuality and dance would have on you personally? Or what impact were you hoping it would have on you?
I mean, partially I just was trying to get by. Like it's been really intense, and something sweet too is that there were some other folks that I knew in the course, particularly like my childhood best friend was doing the course with me, and I was just so pumped and relieved to know that I was gonna get to share this with her, and that we were gonna get to like get to do this together and see each other that much. So that was really, really fun to get to do that with my BFF Tina. And I think I was just hoping to have some practice in my life. Again, I've always been like, if I'm going to work out, I'm going to a gym. If I'm going to study, I'm going to a library. If I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to a studio. If I'm going to dance, I'm going to a class or to a dance floor. And I think with the pandemic, it was like, okay, I'm in this home. Like, how are we going to get through this? How are we going to like rebuild play and fun? And it ended up being not just play and fun. Because 2020, but like how I had an accurate intuition that this was going to help, just like, I don't know, have like a steady surfboard to be on as like whatever was coming, it's just coming, and we were just floating. So I think that was what I was hoping for, just something to look forward to, some pleasure, some challenge, and companionship.
Yeah, I love that you shared that. It's like there was so much happening in the world, but to be able to have those 3 days a week where we were meeting and joining and digesting was so grounding.
Yeah, the format
Yeah.
really made sense for that reason. It's hard for me to imagine like life in the office times, how that would work. But I mean, I feel like that in a way will be changed forevermore. But
Mm.
it was so like the format of 3 times a week, none of them for longer than an hour, and plus one, do it on your own time. Activity class was just, it was just like a plant that was just like watered
Mm.
constantly.
Mm.
And the dance parties were 30 minutes long. Like that's not that long. You know, I didn't have
Yeah.
to miss almost, I think I missed only one of them because it's doable and it's just like, just long enough to like land. And so I really appreciated that format.
Mm. Totally. And that leads me into the next question, which is like what part of the system or what 3 parts of the system or framework were really had the biggest impact for you?
Huh. Um, okay, well, first, I think like this is some professional ass shit in terms of like this portal and like things are on them and then you're like, wait, what day is it and what's the thing, and then you're like, oh wait, let me log onto the portal and like here it is, and the recordings were on there and the recorded classes and the Zoom links and the, so I feel like and that with like accompanied with the Facebook group, just like the technology of it, even though like I know you beat yourself up a lot about technology things, it was really legit, and reminder emails and you know, all this stuff that's like that really does affect the experience in terms of like not feeling anxious as a participant, not feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to like, I don't know, like have my shit together and have it all in one place and know where to go. Like I feel like that was one thing. I just felt taken along for this ride. I think a second thing would be it's led me to really look at, I mean, in sensual movement, like just ask the question of like, what is sensuality? Like whose senses are we talking about when
Mm.
we're talking about being sensual, engaging in sensual movement, feeling sensual? And of course, there is an aspect of performance and of somebody witnessing. Um, and that was definitely present in some like tangible tricks and phrases I learned in your classes, or in your like very loose, very improv inviting loose choreographies that you would walk us through, where it's like, okay, like now I know that if I'm ever laying on the ground and I want to sit up, that's generally like an awkward thing to do. And now I know this like cute little thing I can do, arching my back, and it looks really good. So there were some like actual tangible skill phrases or moves that I learned that I now have in my repertoire, but also like in a deeper level, I feel like I had ever seen, I've always admired sensual movement because a lot of people in my community have done it a lot. But I was never necessarily just like called to it, or I've never been super into like performing that way or wearing certain things. It's never called to me too much. My feminist, like, I think is dressed up in different ways. And then this just challenged like, whose senses is this for? And the constant call to move from within and move from pleasure, and to have an eye for like what might this look like. And definitely like in this medium with this camera and my little box, like of course there was like, ooh, what do I look like? But more than that, your emphasis is always like, being present in the body and being sensual, like to yourself. And that was really huge because there's such a relationship of now it's obvious there's such a relationship between what looks good and what feels good. So I feel like, yeah, that popped open for me a lot in terms of of diving into sensual movement, what that means for me, what parts of it resonated and I'm taking away with me. And I think the third thing is kind of along those lines, but the third thing would be, as I said, you don't have to be a dancer to do this course, or the dance parties, or maybe even other things that Alyssa offers. But I am a dancer, and I've done a lot of improv movement before, so it wasn't like a new thing to me to try to listen to myself and try to like move from like my inner current. But I feel like it added this 3D element to how I think about movement in my body, in terms of like focusing on my flesh and gravity and my muscles and my jiggles and it was just like noticing like how I could access some movements sometimes and not access them other times, and realizing the unconscious way that I might clench something or I might not. This might be weird, but it reminded me of like the first month of using my menstrual cup, where I was like, all of a sudden I'm like, I didn't even know I was holding tension in my insides. Like when I was like learning how to like pull it out and put it in, and I was like, whoa, that's what I mean by 3D. I feel like to learn to move sensually and to learn to release the hips and to learn to jiggle and twerk is like it just adds all these layers to your sense of your body and of gravity and of this like pull that we are always feeling to the core of the earth. So even as a dancer, as an improv mover, that is really new for me. And even if it reminded me and led me to like look back into some folkloric dances from South America that my culture has and that I've been around, that have some of these elements. Anyway, I don't know. It's been really exciting. I'm pumped.
I love that you're excited. I'm excited to hear all of that, and your metaphors and your eloquence is just it's so lovely to hear about how you experience this. And the next question was going to be like, what part of each of the three? But you went in depth a fair amount there. Is there anything else that you want to just presence that that you enjoyed as a part of the experience?
Yeah, well, just that it wasn't all, I guess I wouldn't say it wasn't all joy, but it wasn't all light. It wasn't some sort of suspended experience in the void of in a vacuum. And the kind of national and international awakening to what so many folks in the Black community and what the movement for Black Lives has been saying for a long time, this like resurgence in like listening and caring happened during our course. And this moment of reckoning that we're all in, whether we're engaging or not, that happened during our course, and we didn't ignore it. In fact, there were moments of movement that were rageful, that were sorrowful, and always with like the premise of of like, there is no opting out of being in our bodies and feeling our feelings, and as much as we may try. And so anyway, I just appreciated the like conversations we had, the non-conversations, but just like moments of moving and acknowledging, and also all the questions that it left unanswered, because we weren't gonna like solve the question of what is appropriation in like 6 weeks. I mean, that's like a big topic. It's only responsible to touch upon it, which we did, and we engaged, and it's like a lot of questions remain. And I was just grateful to be in a space that wasn't ignoring like what we are all being asked to do and to reckon with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely, I feel like it was orchestrated in a way that, what a time to be teaching twerking. And it was actually my first time teaching twerking in depth. So it was a definite moment of calling myself forward and navigating the class in a way of, yeah, getting us to look deeper, and calling in Fanny Sosa, who's an expert on decolonizing twerking, and that experience with her, and just really getting to learn from her and have, difficult conversations. And I think that was important. I was grateful that everyone in the course was along for the ride, so I love that's the kind of space that was expected from me, and that we were able to navigate that, again, with still open-ended questions.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, for coming along on that journey. So what results have you achieved that you feel like have impacted you?
Well, just by way of anecdote, today I've been kind of in my feelings, like a roller coaster kind of a day. And at some point during my work day, because I'm working from home, I don't know what I'll do when I'm back in the office now that I've gotten a taste of this course. But at some point I was like, I stopped everything. I blasted Anuel's new album, particularly his song with Bad Bunny, Hasta que Dios diga. And and I just moved. And it was hot, and I just like took a lot of my layers off, and I was just in my body. And like between yoga and dance, and just, it was really important for me to do that in the middle of the day. And to also, I've been noticing how important it is. I feel like we like sit, stand, lay. So I was just like in my living room going through like all the levels, the floor, standing, bending over, all the things. And, it was just 3 songs length worth of movement. But I feel like I'm feeling called back in to listen to that, and to just like put that in. I feel like that's what you call people to do with your social media a lot, is just like, have you had your song today? Have you had your like moment? It doesn't need to be like a 70-minute whatever. So yeah, I think because the plant has been watered, I have it closer at the tip of my fingers. And I've never focused so much on the hip before. Like I've done like modern dance, and I've done other things, and because I love reggaeton so much, it's been really helpful to now every day. I'll admit it's not every day, but most days, to just like tap in to my hips and just
Yeah.
loosen and jiggle and feel that 3D. And yeah, I'm taking that away with me for sure.
I love that. And just untaming our hips is a big passion of mine. So I love hearing that it's still, you're still carrying it with you and exploring that. And yes, that's awesome to hear. So can you finish this sentence? I almost didn't join because.
I almost didn't join because Alyssa is very flesh positive, and I didn't know if I would feel in my power to feel comfortable in whatever garments I wanted to, I would be wearing or wanted to wear that day.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that that was something that you were carrying. I wonder what, if you can kind of share what happened when you said yes and what happened next.
Well, first, I feel like folks wore all kinds of things, and that was all okay. You never really even talk about revealing clothes in terms of the class. You just like live it. And it actually started in your dance parties before we started the class that I started realizing that it's so interesting how like not even nudity, like full nudity, but just sharing more skin is like, for me, there's like an arc of discomfort. And then after some minutes, when other people are there with me, it becomes normal again. And there's something really, really freeing in that. And I think throughout the course, I got more comfortable showing skin, but also it would oscillate. And I didn't like have to wear something as revealing as the time before if I wasn't there. So I also thought I would be like very like windows focus and all these things, and I kind of was, but it was a really important exercise for me to just not have the narrative of the punitive narrative of like policing what I wear and overthinking what it looks like. And yeah, I definitely ended up showing a lot more skin than I thought I was gonna do. But I also want to say not everybody was showing skin all the time. And that was like, it didn't feel off. It didn't feel like you're not on the program. It was like, really, there was a lot of variation in how people were dressed. And I liked that a lot. And I also really liked having an example of showing flesh, because without it, I probably wouldn't have done it.
I feel that. Well, thank you so much for that honesty. I love hearing your process in that. Yeah, and that you felt comfortable to explore that, and I love how you called it flesh positive. I like that phrase. I would call myself flesh positive. Yeah. So the next sentence, if you could finish the sentence, my favorite part of working with you or your program is.
My favorite part of working with you and your program. There's like so many things. I think it would be just like really good company and good presence. Yeah, it's been there have been these moments. So Alyssa posts the recordings of her classes in our private portal, fancy portal that we have. And there are times where, Alyssa, you started the recording like before anybody joined. And it was just interesting to just like see you in your body and see you like, you're not like on, you're not teaching, and just see you like take moments of breath, and you're like concentrated, but you like take a moment to like stretch your neck and just like, I don't know, I just really appreciate seeing your example of being in this vessel, and your presence, and whether we were moving or we were like discussing content matter, just like being here. And yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
Well, I love to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna receive that and not push it away. Thank you. Who would you recommend this to and why? It's the last question.
I would recommend it to, yeah, I would recommend it to, well, I mean, as I said before, it's like whether you're a dancer or you're not a dancer, there is so much here for you. And I would say women identified individuals, and people with uteruses, people with pussies, who want to delve into affirming that and tapping into the power of that. Yeah.
Thank you. So that is the conclusion of my questions. Is there anything else that you want to share? And I mean, that was a lot. So
yeah, I have a question for you. How do you feel on the other side of a 6+ week? Because Alyssa like gave us some like extra some extra stuff there. How do you feel on the other side of, was it your first like 6 week, like that length of a course follow-up?
It was, yeah.
How do you feel on the other side of it?
Well, I feel a lot of things. I feel proud of the container that we created together, and really to see the kind of person that was attracted to my work was really affirming, because the women that joined were really so created such a beautiful supportive container, like a sacred space, and everyone was really open to in the moment of navigation that we were in within the pandemic, within this civil rights movement. Everyone was very open and willing to have this deeper conversations and to allow it to morph with the needs of the moment, and to just like feel that presence. That was really powerful. And to let the intelligence of the group navigate and not feel like I had to kind of control it all. And even if I had an outline, that it kind of had its own path. So that was really beautiful to witness. And I also saw, and to be honest, there was coming to the end of it, I saw how in the delivery, it took a lot of the kind of masculine energy to be in that structure, that place of structure and delivery. And I want to, going forward, to be able to be more in my feminine or to have that balance, but also to stay rooted in my feminine practice, so that I can navigate that in a more easeful way. And maybe that means just having support, having like an assistant or something. So that's the next thing I'm calling in. But yeah, I feel really, it was a journey, and it required a lot of trust, and but I was also just so excited to finally get to delve deeper. And now, knowing that with that experience of creation, I'm really excited to create the next thing, and know that I'm excited to go even deeper. And just having that under my belt, and getting to, and knowing that all of you were super stoked, like, when's the next thing? And I was like, I'll get back to you.
It's
So that
like
was really beautiful to hear. And and just so great to spend time with you all. And I've been wanting to do something like this for a really long time. So the affirmation that, yes, I am on the right track, that this is what I'm meant to be doing, and really enjoying and loving the process of it, and learning a lot from it. So thank you for that question. Allowing me to reflect. So that's a wrap for our conversation. If you were watching this or listening to this, I want to invite you to book a 10-minute call with me, a discovery call, just to kind of talk about where you're at. And it's not a sales call. I don't have anything to pitch right now, but I would just love to hear like from you, and get to know you, if we've never met, or even if we have, just to see where you're at. So if you want to book a 10-minute discovery call with me, there's a link below. And yeah, I would love to see what happens next. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. So thank you so much, Adriana, for joining today. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you too, Alyssa.
Mwah.
I miss you in my life so often.
Well, you don't have to miss no more. We're here together, and there will be more magic ahead. So have a beautiful night.
Oh wait, I didn't mention something, which is that your playlists are the bomb. They are fire. And yes, I was just so happy to get to know all this new music, and at the same time to like get like my dose of reggaeton put in. That was really affirming and beautiful. I live in like upstate ass New York. I don't tend to get to listen to Latinx music in public, like with others, which is why I started to learn to DJ, even though I'm not very good. I'm just like, I don't care. I just want to listen to Bad Bunny in community. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome to hear. I can't wait to hear you DJ. And I agree with so many. Well, one, I'm a music scavenger, so I love knowing that you enjoyed the music. I'm like, yes. I love music. And then the second thing is that I get what you mean about reggaeton and community, because when I went to Puerto Rico, I was like, this is what I was missing. Like the whole beach, everyone has their own humongous speaker, and I was just like, this is what the beach is supposed to be like. It's like music coming out of every direction, and I was so happy. I felt so fulfilled. So I know what you mean on that. All right, girl.
All right,
well, have a beautiful
darling.
night.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for taking time.
Un abrazo. Desde aquí.
Bye bye.
Bye.